What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. It's me, Mike Lombard, your host. Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse, wherever you might be tuning in out there. It is 7:30 on the 7:32 here on this Monday evening. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. You're crushing it out there. Before we get rolling to the Clubhouse, number one, thank you guys for jumping in here last Wednesday, coming on talking to Trucker Icebox and hearing his story. If you haven't, definitely go back to our YouTube, check it out. That guy's been, he's coming up on a 20-year trucking anniversary, and he's a community grower and, really, really big on leaving the industry better than he found it. And that's why we do this Clubhouse, especially with this evening's guest and partner that we're having on. Before we get rolling, do want to let you know, again, taillights just dropped at 7 p.m., dropped about 30 minutes ago with some good info regarding DOT medical cards and, how they're, switching to electronic, but the technology hasn't caught up. And we've gone in, we also break down how that there is an open comment period going on right now for new federal highway bills that are going into Congress. So again, there is an open comment section and the links are right in the newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go to Truck Parking Club, go to newsletter.truckparkingclub.com/newsletter. Newsletter.truckparkingclub.com. That's it. Subscribe. You can check out taillights. Also within taillights, there are weekly discounts. There's up to about $40 worth of discounts in there for some parking for you guys, including a survey that we have going on right now for what a monthly membership would look like. And we're really looking for our trucker member and driver feedback on it. But without any further delay, I want to bring up this awesome gentleman, by the way, who has just been really rocking it on his content. He goes by JY Truckin Fitness, and I'm just going to bring him right on the stage because he's ready to rip. What's going on, brother?
My man, Mike, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Dude, it's good to have you here, man. You're an awesome guy out there in the content space and what you're posting on TikTok, and hopefully we can get into that in a little bit. But where are you checking in from?
I am in Phoenix, Arizona. This is where I live. This is where I truck out of. I've been out here for about 5 years, and I love it.
No, that's awesome, man. And so when it comes to trucking, like what's your story? Why'd you get into trucking?
Okay, my journey began back in January of 2011. What happened was I was working, before I got into trucking, I was working 2 jobs. And I just said to myself, you know what? I just want to find one good job, one good steady career that I can do so I can quit working these 2 jobs. And for whatever reason, trucking just popped in my mind. And I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I already like driving my car and taking road trips. Why not get paid to drive? So I went to CDL school for 4 weeks, and I am now, I laugh, people laugh when I say this. I'm now 14 years into my 5-year plan. I only wanted to do this 5 years, but I fell in love with it so much I've stuck with it since. And that's basically my story. I've done everything except haul tankers. That's it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've kind of seen you've seen every aspect besides doing any tanker stuff. Yeah. Where did you start off? Like after CDL school, who'd you ride with?
Schneider National. That was the very first company that took a chance on me. And I've been with name 'em ever since.
Oh, so like you kind of did a grand tour. So you've driven for a couple different companies?
I think I could list them all. Schneider, McLean, Penske. I've driven for Kroger. I've driven for Penske again, Schneider again. And now I've been at Walmart, and Walmart is the place I actually want to retire from. I absolutely love it here.
No, it's good to hear. I actually want to get into that for a minute. So so all your 14 years, has it been straight OTR or like was Kroger like a local job?
Yes, it's been a combination of OTR and local. So I've done it both off and on over these 14 years.
Nice. And so what got you into Walmart?
Just realizing that this is where I needed to be years ago, and just finally taking caution and tossing it into the wind and filling out that application. That's really all it was. I should have came here years ago, but hey, better late than never. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I didn't know because they're at a lot of the truck shows and they're actively recruiting. So I'm not sure if like if another driver kind of told you about them, or you kind of found out about them on social media?
I did it myself, actually. I just saw that they had an opening because our terminal is in a little town called Buckeye, Arizona, like right outside of Phoenix. I just saw Buckeye was hiring. I took my chances, and 2 weeks later, they gave me a call. A week after that, I was in training, and here we are. And I've been in love ever since. This is the first like OTR regional job that I've ever had that honestly, I don't feel exhausted at the end of my work week. And that's what I love about them so much. You make good money and they don't run you into the ground, which if you know, you know. So that's what I love about them.
Yeah, I got a taste of Walmart when I drove for Pam Transport, and during COVID, and I think Walmart's kind of strayed away from doing this. I actually don't know now, but from what I know and kind of other Walmart drivers I've talked to and kind of people throughout, but this is kind of like peak COVID where there's a lot of a lot of stuff needed to get moved, and Pam had gotten other carriers to move Walmart trailers, and so I got to haul Walmart trailers out of Seymour, Indiana, and then out of New Braunfels in Central Texas. And I was on a Walmart schedule. Like I wasn't on Walmart pay and benefits and all that stuff, but it was a typical schedule where like I would show up on day one at 6 a.m. or what have you, or like the supply. I guess the supply chain office or the office where you can get loads would open at like 4 or 4:30, but they told me to come at 6. And I'd go in there, check in. They'd give me a trip sheet, and it would be, you're picking up this trailer number. You'll hook to it, and it's going to this store number. And then I had certain checklists, like you needed to make some check calls, like when you got to the store, and then when you left the store or something. You needed to write down the times, like your time in, time out. It was drop and hook. So I would bring it to the store, drop the trailer at a Walmart store, and then I would take an empty that was there, and then normally I would go to a customer. And then from there, I would go to a customer, drop and hook a loaded trailer, and then that would go back to a distribution center, and then I'd get the next load.
Yep, you're right on point. And the only difference is instead of writing down the times and stuff like that, we do it all on a tablet. But you're in the right ballpark as far as like how we operate. A lot of our work is drop and hook. We do live loads and live unloads from time to time, but a good bulk load of our work is drop and hooks.
Yeah, every now and then there were some live load unloads, but it was pretty. I mean, it was cut and dry. The days flew by. The days flew by. They didn't want you. They definitely. I mean, I always had a place to park for the most part. Like I was able to stay at the stores, and then I was on their schedule. Like it was 5 on, 2 off, and on that 5th day, like you're normally kind of getting, at least for me, how it was. Like they wouldn't push it past. Like if you had like 4 hours left on your clock, they're not going to give you another. They wouldn't give you another load. They're not going to milk you for something like that. It's a pretty good setup. And I think if you're going to be, I've said it, I've tweeted it, I've talked about it. I think if driving's going to be the career, I mean, Walmart's definitely got so many drivers on TikTok say this is the company you retire with. This will be the last company you work for.
Absolutely. And that is so true. And it's like the only people, this is a running joke that I say, the only people that hate on Walmart are the people that couldn't pass training. That's it.
Which actually, let's jump into that quick, because Walmart's onboarding process isn't easy.
No, at least for me, I can only speak for me in the training center that I went to in Utah. I can't speak for the others across the country, but the one that I went to, there's 9 tests that you take. You have to pass at least 5 of them to receive a job offer. We had 15 people in our class. 5 of us left with jobs. Really? That's how strict they are. Yes. They do not play games as far as who they hire. That's why you don't hear about us much like in the news, flipping trucks or crashing trucks or at the scale house all the time, because their vetting process is like very, very, very like fine tooth comb. They do not play around. Like there's people that got dismissed on day 1 of onboarding. That's how serious they are.
Yeah. Are those 9 tests? Are they like backing tests? Or are they like knowledge, like paper tests?
3 driving tests, 3 backing tests, and then 3 of Walmart's version of a pre-trip. They have their own version of a pre-trip.
Oh,
And last I remember, you had to pass all 3 driving tests. I believe it was 1 pre-trip and I think 1 backing. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember, but I know you had to pass 5 tests altogether.
okay. I got you. Now, let's go into that. What's a Walmart pre-trip look like?
Oh, way more in depth than the pre-trip that you do to get your actual CDL. You're checking lug nuts, cotter pins. You're getting like deep into that truck to make sure that nothing gets missed. If you miss one lug nut put it like this, in onboarding, when you're practicing your pre-trip, if you miss one lug nut while they're watching you, fail. So out of 100 lug nuts, if you count 99, you failed.
Oh man, that's high speed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a testament though, and there's people who tune in, and we have followers on Twitter. There's a lot of conversation going on right now. There's a lot that we kind of talked about in the newsletter with the English proficiency stuff, and there's a lot of carriers out there who obviously there's a lot of carriers out there who don't hold drivers to the same standard as Walmart, for example. And we kind of see some of the issues we have with out of service violations, accidents, that are going on. And I think that there's something to be said about Walmart's standard. And when you have a standard, things seem to go pretty well.
Yes, absolutely. You're not going to find too many Walmart drivers just out here doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, because I think a lot of the drivers understand that there's not too many more opportunities out here to make the money that you're going to make and get the home time that you want outside of this place. There's not too many above that. And the ones that are, they're very tough to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually got our buddy Ralph. He's jumping in on here. He says he tried Walmart and went to Tyson Foods. He said he failed for not stopping, waiting for a green light to cycle, yellow, red, then green. Same with, he says 4 trailer pins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to check you definitely have to check those too. If you get 3 out of 4, fail. Yeah, they do not play around. They don't.
No, that's good. So when it comes to, we kind of mentioned with Walmart, there's, you kind of do have a good spot to park. Interestingly enough, we were at the Texas Trucking Show recently, and there was we had a Walmart driver come over to us, and she was talking about how we've really helped her out in this one place she goes. I believe it's somewhere in Texas, but the store itself she didn't feel safe in the neighborhood, is just how she described it. And we had a property nearby, and she had, was really ecstatic. She's like, it really helped me out. Like, I did not feel safe with what was going on in that neighborhood. And it's one of those stories that really like drives home kind of like what the mission, what we're doing here. But I wanted to ask you when was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
The first time I've ever heard of you guys was probably 2 years ago or so, something like that. You have a location in a town called Maricopa, Arizona. And I heard about that location first, and I think you've got a few more in the Phoenix Valley area now, but your location in Maricopa was the first time I ever heard of it. And I immediately thought to myself, okay, nice. We have some more parking options out here in case the big 4 get packed, or, if people want to take their chances at a Walmart or a grocery store somewhere. It's nice to have some alternatives out here. It really is.
Yeah, I can say, I was just talking with people from Phoenix, and I've gone out to Goodyear a whole bunch. And Phoenix, I mean, I was with a friend of mine. He's a trucker. He's an owner operator. He lives in Phoenix, and he was saying that his neighborhood alone, he's been in there. I mean, he's watched his neighborhood explode. And he's like, him and 3 of his neighbors are like the only original people like from Arizona that are like left in his neighborhood, because the city has just absolutely exploded. What is parking looking like out in Phoenix right now?
I honestly don't know because I don't spend a night in the city. If I'm in the town, I'm spending the night at my DC. What I can say is we're getting more truck stops in the city, which thank goodness, because a lot of people don't know this, Phoenix is the fifth largest city in the United States. It's a fun fact for people that don't know that. We're the fifth largest city in the US, and we're basically the corridor to get to LA, unless you're coming from Vegas or something like that. We're the corridor to get to LA. So a lot of people are going to spend the night. So I would imagine that truck parking is probably getting worse, and more people are probably parking in neighborhoods, because unless you live here, you wouldn't know this, that there's not a lot of truck restricted streets in Phoenix. You can literally drive down some of these neighborhoods with a semi truck and a cop will just look at you and go, no problem.
Yeah, so it looks like it looks like the municipalities haven't caught up with what some of the other municipalities are doing. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure the neighbors are complaining. There's probably stuff in motion, but yeah, I mean, I can't like being out in Phoenix. So at least in Goodyear, what's great about it being so new is the roads are so wide. Like everything's wide open, so it's not a bad place to be. But I mean, kind of, you said you've been with Walmart 5 years.
2 years. 2 years. I've lived in Phoenix for 5 years.
Got it. So kind of prior to Walmart, what did parking look like for you normally? Did you ever run into any issues? Like what was maybe a tough thing you kind of had to go through with parking? Have you ever had to run up, did you ever have to run over the hours, do anything crazy? What's a tough parking experience you've maybe had?
Well, thankfully, not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at trip planning. So I've never like ran out of hours or things like that. But I will say that one time, this was a job years ago. I used to do mail, like deliver mail to a little town in like outside of Los Angeles called Bellflower. And then I would go pick up a load of Budweiser. And I believe I can't remember if it was Sherman Oaks, somewhere up that way, up 405 up that way. And then I would have to find a place to park somewhere in LA County because I was almost out of hours for the day. And if you're not, like, to the people that aren't familiar with LA County, there are literally no truck stops in Los Angeles. You got to start heading out towards Inland Empire, like Ontario and areas like that, to find a place to park. So what I did was I worked out a deal with a gas station not too far from my back hall saying, hey, if you let me park here, I promise you I won't I won't do this. I won't do this. And in exchange, I'll make sure I'm buying something from here every single time I come here. And he said, sir, you got yourself a deal. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to make ends meet where you can. Well, I mean, that's how you make it. That's what guys do down in Laredo. I mean, I say it all the time. If I could just know a language overnight, it would easily be Spanish, because that's how you cut the line in Laredo. That's how you can cut the line depending on where you go. It's just once they know you can talk the talk, and you're not just just like everybody else, we kind of let you out. And I had an experience like that at a Walmart. I was like running out of hours because I was like waiting at a receiver too long. I was in Georgia in a Walmart store. I wasn't carrying a Walmart trailer at the time. I was working for a different company, or I was actually hauling like a low boy, like a step deck at the time, or at RGN. And I like went inside to the Walmart because they had like big, like no truck parking signs. And I walked into the store and I just in good faith kind of like pleaded with the manager. I was like, I will be out of here at 4:30 in the morning. Like, it made it a point. And I think when you kind of show that genuine, you show that good faith, you're not there and you just don't dump your garbage everywhere. Odds are people are going to lean towards helping you out.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that 100%. It's just don't come to people's property and be a complete slouch. And I think that's what a lot of like truck drivers who get frustrated with this idea of like, why do we have to pay to park and things like that? And I said, go take a look at the free pay places that we're parking and just take a look around. Look at all the litter out here. This is why. It's like you can answer your own question.
Yeah, and anybody and people say, they're like, but that's not me doing it. But we got to look at it, in any job. I mean, what's crazy about trucking is, you've got guys work for, whether you work for a big company or not. Like I would, anytime I would see a driver for the same company I work for, like drove for this company, R&R Solutions, amazing outfit, just north of Walmart's HQ, actually, out of Gravette, Arkansas. And the drivers for that company, there was about 25 drivers, 25 trucks. I mean, they were, they were tight. Everybody was pretty tight. Anytime that you were back at the place, each other. And we were just talking last week on the Clubhouse about this level of camaraderie and stuff. And and there's a show I do on Tuesday mornings where we always preach, how iron sharpens iron. When it comes to iron sharpening iron, it means it's an uncomfortable process, and like policing your own is kind of an uncomfortable process. But even though this job is pretty isolated, I mean, it's a matter of, I mean, I do think drivers need to come together and start policing their own in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to the free parking.
Absolutely, because it's like we're tired of, government and all this getting in our way and things like that. And it's like, well, if we policed our own, then maybe we wouldn't have so much of that happening.
No, absolutely. I did, but we know, I mean, parking's an issue. That's why we exist. But I wanted to kind of gauge your opinion. What do you think is probably one of the biggest issues going on in the industry right now?
Finding replacements for guys who retire, because I'm starting to notice a lot of the younger, like Gen Z kids, like people, because I'm 39 years old, so I can look at it from like a young and old perspective. A lot of people that are like 21, 22 years old, they don't necessarily want to do this. So I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, the guys that are leaving, who's going to replace them? That's what I see. That's what I'm starting to notice is like a bigger issue. I noticed that people that want to get their CDL are either in their 30s or just turning 30. I don't hear too many people like 21, 22, 23 years old saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go get my CDL and be a truck driver. I don't hear too much of that. So I'm just thinking like, okay, who's going to replace us when we decide to step away from this? Even though I'm still out here, one day I'm going to get tired of this. I'm like, who's going to replace me? So that's one thing I'm noticing. And obviously truck parking as well.
Yeah, I'd say, interestingly enough, I mean, there's a whole organization that's really made that their mission, called Next Gen in Trucking, because they share the same fear, and Next Gen in Trucking, or Next Generation in Trucking. Lindsay Trent is their top dog over there, and she was just on XM radio last week, talking about the average age of drivers. And I don't want to misspeak on it, because the average age has gone up from what it was, a few years ago, which makes sense of it going up. Proving your point is to saying younger people aren't into the industry, and I share Donnie's point as well. He says he wished he would have gotten a CDL in my 20s, and I found myself saying the same thing, especially because coming out of the Marines, I could have gotten my CDL immediately with the licenses I had, for the trucks I was able to drive while I was in the Marines. MAP V, MRAP, Humvee, 7-ton stuff, and I could have gotten it immediately, and found myself some good paying work. And what's crazy enough about Next Gen and Trucking is they're in the high schools, talking to kids about this, and they have high school programs. And interestingly enough, big shout out to Walmart for this, is a driver, so an 18-year-old who went through the Next Gen's program. At 18, they got their intrastate CDL. They drove, they drove trucks, intrastate where they lived. They couldn't go OTR or anything, but they did that from 18 to 21. And at 21 years old, when they were able to go OTR, they had enough experience where they got hired at Walmart at 21 years old and is making 6 figures.
Nice.
And I think that's what needs to be told, is like, there is a pathway into this industry, a good way to get into it for what could be a good lucrative career for a young person. And if you start driving at 21 over the road, and you drive for 10, 15 years, and then that person can turn around and take that same knowledge back to the younger version of their generation. So that way younger people are getting into this industry, and they're able to kind of refill with good talent that's coming up at a young age.
I love that. That is a beautiful story, actually. I love that the 18 to 21 story. And then the other thing I hear of is people saying, what about trucks driving themselves and things like that? And this is what I say to that personally, because I heard this from one of my friends. Planes have been flying themselves for decades now. They still need pilots. We are a long way from 100% autonomous trucking. I pray I am gone by the time that actually happens. And then you have other factors like, okay, these sensors, traffic. What are you going to do about hazmat and self-driving trucks? Like, that's another topic that nobody's talking about, hazardous materials and autonomous trucks. There's so many variables to this that's not being discussed. So I think we are a long way from just 100% autonomous. And then I could see it working for like just line haul, but like pickup and delivery, things like that. I don't know about that. Just personal opinion. No, that's all.
I mean, we're already seeing. I mean, Aurora, I'm pretty sure, was forced to put drivers back into into those trucks that are. Something happened with them recently, where drivers were forced to be put back into those trucks. And I think what's going on is I know what happens with this. The word with this technology is it's not a matter of if, but when. Like on a long enough timeline, sure. On a long enough timeline, sure, it would make so you can automate anything. In 1,000 years, what is it going to look like? Who really knows? On a long enough timeline, the technology will come. But what I think is happening right now is it's being rushed to failure. And so it is they want it so bad, and I think the companies that are developing this technology want it so bad, and they probably have it in perfect world scenarios. It doesn't work yet in Minnesota. It doesn't work yet on I-80 in Wyoming. It's working in Goldilocks conditions in the state of Texas on very flat roads with minimal traffic. I-10, they're using them out in the oil field where there's no traffic. And it makes sense to a certain extent, but with anything with these companies is they need money. These robotics companies, they need money, and money doesn't come from nothing. And I think, but the thing is, when you get money, you need to show a return on investment. And I think they're coming to realize like we are a long way off to where there's going to actually be an ROI that they're claiming, because they're claiming that the ROI is you're going to slash the expense of the driver's pay. But we're coming to find out that the public isn't really necessarily open to it. The technology is not all that there yet. And I just really don't. We still need to be developing individuals to enter this industry and become drivers, without a doubt.
Yes, because that's the first problem right there. We can't even get drivers behind the wheel to sometimes act right. And now we want to make it autonomous. It's like, come on, one step at a time, please.
And we need to, and the chicken can't come before the egg on this one. How about cars first? How about we master like the smallest vehicles before we go into the heaviest and the most dangerous that we can put out there. And I've said this before, is once again, when it comes to this technology, how do the next 9/11 won't need the pilots anymore. You won't need it. I think it's one of the most egregious national security risks that I can even think of, given how compromised we see our technology as well.
Yes. It's like you can't just have like a good example. You can't just have a load of carbon dioxide, or you can't have a truckload of fireworks rolling through LA County by itself with no driver, or you can't have a load of flammable liquid in downtown Chicago rolling through 94 getting ready to go across the turnpike. You can't do that just yet. There's too much risk.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, the next biggest risk is another part of the Truck Parking Club mission has everything to do with security. And I mean, cargo theft. You just you just Google FreightWaves article on cargo theft, and it'll tell you'll just get this litany of cargo theft out there. And I couldn't think of I couldn't think of better news for criminals than taking drivers out of the trucks, and like you're just gonna have you're just gonna have cameras. I mean, I couldn't think of anything that, like, if I'm a criminal, if I'm a thief, I would be so happy to find out that companies just removed their drivers completely.
Yeah, you would think. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be putting my own money down. Yeah, give Aurora some more money. I'd throw my own money on it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But I definitely got to ask you, because you taken this as a priority. It takes up a good chunk of your content. You've managed to kind of live you live a predominantly very good, healthy lifestyle while over the road. Now, has it always been that way? Have you always kind of lived that lifestyle? Kind of what's your journey been like? Staying healthy and locked in while you're out there.
I can tell you the exact moment where I decided to make a change. And it's actually more recent than you think. It was this past March. I was spending a night at this little truck stop. I don't know if you're familiar with this little town called Chiraco Summit, California, off of I-10. Small little truck stop.
I've never been there, but if it's on I-10, I've driven every mile of I-10, so I must have missed it.
Okay. Yep. It's a small little truck stop there. And one night I had dinner at this burger place there. And I was sitting in my truck. I was eating this burger. And when I got done eating my meal, I had dessert afterwards. And when I got done eating, I just sat there and I just looked at myself. I looked at my food and I said, this is why I continue to go up on the scale, because of these poor eating habits. I'm sedentary and I'm sick of this. So April 1st, I completely wiped out my fridge and my freezer. I put nothing but chicken, vegetables, small amount of carbs in there, maybe some steak, some fish, things like that. I started going back to the gym. And as they say, the rest is history. Since April 1st, I have lost 35 pounds. I have gone down 2 pant sizes. I have lost so much body fat, so many inches on my waist, arms, face, neck, everything. And it was all because of that one moment at that truck stop where I just, enough was enough. If you aren't sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're not going to succeed at losing weight. You're just not. And that's how I started this journey of Jai Truckin Fitness, because my name is Jylon Wisdom. And so Jai is my nickname that my family calls me. And I just decided to call it Jai Truckin Fitness. And it was basically me showing how I lost all this weight on the road. And it's kind of turned into a community in a very short period of time. And I love it.
Yeah, man, it's something I'm definitely attracted to, because I mean, like you said, and you get in your messages like how needed it is. And it's not even just how needed it is, but it's also because what's great about your videos is how simple it is. Like and that's a lot of what I tell people too. It's not as difficult as it's sought out to be. Is it the only thing it's difficult, and the only thing that makes it difficult is that it will take time. Like we do live, and I think that society today has kind of robbed us of realizing that, my dad taught me that time is the acronym for things I must earn. And like we live in the Amazon Prime, get stuff in 24 hours. We're also living in a time where we're creating technology that solves our problems like virtually overnight. Like we can set, like, things should be solved as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. But when it comes to the human body, it's not the same. It's not designed like anything else. But to do what you did, to lose that 35 pounds, it takes one conscious movement forward. And so the first thing you did was you changed your food.
Yes, because a lot of people don't understand 80% of losing weight and losing body fat, it starts in the kitchen. You can go to the gym all you want, but if your eating habits are bad, you can't out-train a bad diet. That is probably one of the most cliche things said by most trainers and things like that, but it's so true. You can't.
You cannot. And I can attest to this. The only training program that you can out-train a diet is if you're training for Ironman. Like I can tell you, because there's days where I've eaten 5,000 calories because it required 6 to 7 hours of training for me to be able to earn 5,000 calories worth of food. That's how extreme you need to go to where if you want to be able to quote eat what you want in different ways. And again, I don't encourage that. It's also very difficult to do if you're a driver. But
Yes.
so and I want to get this because it's clear. So you switch your food. You're not tracking anything, right? Are you tracking like your calories or your protein at all?
I actually am. And what I do is right now, I'm actually working on a calorie tracking app of my own. But right now, I work with this company called Nutritionix. I just use their app because it's very easy to track your calories, your carbs, your fat, your protein. And I eat about, like what they say, a gram of protein for every pound that I have. Because right now, I weigh about 162, 163 pounds. And I easily get about 170, 175 grams of protein a day. A lot of chicken, a lot of vegetables, a lot of steak, a lot of salmon, shrimp, and vegetables. Small amount of carbs if I do want some, like potatoes, like rice, pasta, things like that. If I snack on fruit, sometimes a protein bar, sometimes some protein chips, but I only eat one bag or one bar a day. That's why I scream in my videos, don't eat the whole box. Don't do that. It'll destroy your goals. So that's pretty much my diet. And lots of water, of course.
Yeah, keep it once you up the water intake, it'll make you feel fuller, a little bit better. This is right up my wheelhouse right here. Don't want to steal anything from Truck Parking Club and obviously the mission, but again, the mission of the Truck Parking Club has everything to do with leaving the industry better than we found it. We, as myself and as a company, we fully endorse supporting drivers who are living the type of lifestyle you're doing and showing others. And do you have so when it comes to cooking food, do you have a hot plate? Do you use an air fryer?
I'm one of the lucky ones with an actual microwave in my truck and a small mini fridge, but I'm actually working on some content. I have to actually finish this up sometime soon on how you can cook in your truck without a microwave, because a lot of people may think it's impossible. It's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, I'd say my best friend over the road was the air fryer, something I got from Walmart, by the way, for all of I think $60.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's a matter of making that. I make this comparison a lot because I think a lot of owner operators tune in to the Clubhouse, and we work with a lot of owner operators in general. And I talk to owner operators on my podcast, but everybody wants to know their you need to know your cost per mile to be profitable. Like if you want your truck to make money, if you're an owner operator, and if you want to, if there's a health and fitness goal you have, you need to know how much you burn and how much you consume. There's really no way around it. What when it came to my story is one of the first things I did was start movement. I got into the habit of daily movement, and then the food came next. Then I started grocery shopping, and I didn't track anything, but because I was switching my diet to kind of whole food meals, like you said, chicken, vegetables, rice, fruit, by just automatically changing what I ate per day, I was inadvertently reducing my caloric intake because the foods I was eating just had less calories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's manageable to do. Your videos are great out there, and we're gonna share some of those videos, and we're gonna share them out of the Truck Parking Club stories because there's simple swaps. You call them. They're your simple swaps.
Yes, because a lot of people don't know that there's just little things that you can change, like swap out the Doritos for Quest protein chips, swap out that candy that you're eating for fruit, swap out regular ketchup for sugar-free ketchup, because a lot of people don't understand sugar is the enemy of your stomach. That's what's going to keep your stomach, at least not necessarily sugar, but processed, like added sugar, things like that. Let me be more specific before people grill me. So added sugar is the enemy of your belly. And I'm just showing people little things like that, like make these small little tweaks and you can enjoy the foods that you want and still lose weight, lose body fat, lose that stomach. I will keep it clean for the podcast, but lose that stomach. So that's what you ought to do. Just Simple tweaks, because I get it. Not everybody can be as disciplined as chicken, vegetables, and rice all the time. I get that. So we're showing people that, hey, you can occasionally enjoy a bag of chips, or you can occasionally enjoy a sugar-free soda. I don't recommend sugar-free sodas, but if you must, drink a sugar-free one every now and again and still meet your goals. So that's why I do those.
Yeah, the simple swaps have been probably the biggest cheat code of all. And again, that's what I mean, somebody who's, what I say, is extremely at risk, somebody who's, on the very heavy side of obese, is if they simply were to switch to diet, like if they're a regular soda drinker and they switch to diet and they incorporated 30 minutes, doesn't need to be consecutive, 30 minutes of walking, like they get 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes at your pickup, 30 minutes walking and switching to diet, there will be pounds that would come off the scale in the first week in just that alone.
Absolutely.
And then knowing those numbers. And I get, if people are listening, they're probably being like, man, these guys are psychotic. They talk about numbers, but but at this point where I'm at, I don't really track anymore, because I know, like, I've just gotten so happy and content with what I'm eating, and it's good that I know what I'm doing. It's not a means to an end, but you've got to get yourself in a position. And I haven't given anything up. I've never given up ice cream, pizza. I had Terry Black's barbecue last night. So, I mean, it's like, you don't give anything up. It's just about doing a little bit less, making out with support, which is the same thing you do with your truck. It is the same thing you do with the equipment you want. You want to give it the right oil. You don't want to get, there's people who swear by not going to certain truck stops because of the fuel they use, because of what they put in the fuel. And it's like, if you're going to be that tedious about your equipment, hey man, you can sell your truck, but you can't sell, you can't get rid of that body. You've only got one.
It's like, we take care of our cars, we take care of our house, we take care of our semi trucks, we take care of our motorcycles. We treat all of those things with royalty. And we do all of that, and we just treat our body like we're going to get another one. If you're lucky, you're going to get 75 years on this earth. Don't you? It's like, don't you want the quality of those years to all be good? And it starts with your eating habits. What you feed yourself is what's going to come out. I personally want to be the next Jack LaLanne. Just personally, but that's my goal. I can't speak for others. I want to be well into my 80s and 90s, still doing push-ups, still lifting weights, but that's my goal. I have a 10-year-old son who's watching me and needs me to be healthy. He needs me to be here for him. So he's honestly my biggest motivation for staying in shape. And then 40 is coming for me next year. So it's a landmark birthday to me, and I want to be in the best shape of my life.
Dude, absolutely. And that's good you bring it up about family. And we just talked about, you're talking about people coming in the industry, who's going to replace, drivers who are retiring. The same way your kids are watching you, just as you said. I mean, the younger generation is watching us. They're watching us. I'm not, I'm 35, you're 39, so we're in the same generation. They're watching us, and if they're not seeing guys like you, if they're not seeing guys like Jylon, who's crushing out there, what's going to make them get into the industry? And that's always a good way to think about it. It's like, how is the younger generation viewing us? Because they can see it all now. Boom, right on TikTok. And there's a whole trucking section of TikTok that they can look at. And if they're seeing disarray, then you're right. Who is going to replace the guys who are retiring?
Yes, because a lot of people don't understand TikTok is not a networking platform. It's an interest-based platform. And this is the platform that the younger generation is using to find out about things. So you're 100% right on that, as far as like, they're looking at trucking and they're noticing things. And if they see a bunch of, we'll just use the correct term, obese truckers who aren't taking care of themselves, they're going to be like, oh no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to get out of shape and this, that. But if they see guys like us who are out here making it fun to do calisthenics, making it fun to lift weights, making it fun to eat fruit, making it fun to eat vegetables, drink water, and still enjoy time on the road, then that might entice them a little bit more to come into this game.
Absolutely. It's all about mindset. I mean, we're people are products of their environment, and it goes back to that old saying, like, and if your environment, and it's the same thing on social media, if your algorithm, if your environment is nothing but negativity, then that's what your mind's going to see and absorb. And when you can kind of switch that mindset and put better things in front of them, that's what people are going to see.
Yes, and I'm just glad that I can do my part, and I'm glad that the people that are in my community are appreciating what I'm doing and things like that, because it means the world to me when I get messages and DMs and comments from people saying, thank you for this. We needed this a long time ago, because I'm very niche based on TikTok. So my community is people who actually need me. My content isn't for everybody. Like, I do this intentionally. So the people that are watching me, they're intending to watch me. They need this. So it means more coming from them than just a random person searching on TikTok. So that's what I love about this.
For sure. But for any of the guys tuning in, where can people find you on social media so they can follow along with this and kind of get your tips? Because I mean, you're dropping them basically daily.
Yes, I post every single day. You could catch me on the big three: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Jai Truck and Fitness, all one word. JY Truck and Fitness, all one word. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I have a free grocery list for people. So basically, I curated a list of foods that I personally ate to lose all of this weight. It is 100% free. The link to it is in the bio of my pages. I have an Amazon storefront. And for all of you watching, use the promo code JaiTruckFit20 if you need truck parking. I don't want to hear nothing about, truck parking costs this and that. You spend more money on that inside of the Pilot buying candy. Get you some truck parking if you need it.
That might be one of the best. I'm clipping that, because that is a commercial right there.
I don't want to hear about it's too expensive. You buy all those buffalo wings and pizza slices and Pilot, but truck parking is the problem. Okay.
Dude, it was always worth. That was 100% worth it, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for leaving it with that freaking hammer drop right there too.
Yes. Hey, the truth isn't pretty, but it's necessary.
Dude, that's what we're here for. That's why it's the freaking Clubhouse, man. It's meant for that. It's meant for that type of banter. But he's absolutely right. Again, his promo code's floating at the bottom. If you need some parking tonight, tomorrow, this week, you can use that off your first or your next booking if you haven't used it. JY Truck Fit 20. Again, Jylon's a gentleman who wants to leave the industry better than he found it. He wants good drivers coming in. Wants the guys who are retiring getting out. He wants to retire and know that it's being left, better than he found it. That's why he partners with us. If you guys are looking to partner with us in any sort of way, get the word out there, get some drivers parked, and also, make some conscious decisions on living a healthier lifestyle. I mean, we're your people. We're here for you. But with that, we'll be back with you guys next week, 7:30, Monday evening. We'll catch you next time.